Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to Fandom Frequency. And today we're going to be kicking off our very first recap breakdown series. And we're going to be kicking it off today with one of the dopest animes out there, My Hero Academia. And we're going to be talking about the season 5 premiere, of course. And I'm going to be bringing it to you solo today. My name's Kenny. And on behalf of the team, thanks for tuning in, thanks for coming out, and thanks for pressing that play button and supporting the show, man. And make sure you click that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share it, spread it, get the word out there, man. We're trying to build a community of like-minded geeks. So if you like what you're hearing, if you love the positivity, you know where to find me, at fandom_frequency. But with no further ado, we got rid of the plug, so let's get right into the show. But before I do that, I want to do a little recap of Season 4 for you guys, just going over some of the big plot points, the big characters, the big moments from Season 4, and some of that stuff that really leads into Season 5. But just my overall thoughts on Season 4. Every subsequent season of My Hero Academia just gets better and better and better. I absolutely loved last season, Season 4 of My Hero, man. It was dope all around. The only real minor complaint I actually had was I just wanted a little more Todoroki. I wanted a little more Bakugo. I wanted them to be a little more in the main plot, of course, but they're off doing their thing. They're off sharpening their skills, and they're going to be, I think, much bigger presence in this new season, of course, going into Endeavor being the #1 hero now. Also going into Bakugo maybe having ties to another big character. Just a theory of mine that we're going to get into later on in the episode. But going on from there, man, so all the Class 1A and all the first years are doing their work study since they have their provisional licenses. So everyone's going out there working with a pro hero as their sidekick with their other sidekicks at the agency if they already have one. And our boy, the main character Deku, Izuku Midoriya, he's doing his work study at the agency under Sir Night Eye. And all my fellow fans know that Sir Night Eye was All Might's former protege, his former sidekick, until about 6 or 7 years before the series picks up in Season 1, I believe, where they actually ended up having a falling out because Sir Night Eye has a quirk called Foresight, I believe, where he's able to look minutes into the future to predict his opponent's next move, but he also can do that very far in the future and see someone's future like way in the years down the line. And he did that on All Might and knew that he was either going to meet his end, and he knew something bad was going to happen. So he warned All Might after his injury that we all very well know that has affected him to this day and removed him from that top tier spot on the Billboard charts. We all know what happened there. So Night Eye's trying to warn him back in the day, about 5 or 6 years back, that he needs to, pass the mantle on to someone else, get a successor for One for All, and make sure that he can stay alive and teach a UA and just bring on the next generation. But he needs to do it in a safe manner where he could preserve his own life because Sir Night Eye cares about him, of course. But All Might just can't give up his passion. He has to be the symbol. He has a big responsibility on his shoulders, so he wants to carry that forward. So those guys split back about 6 years ago, and he has a big test, and he doesn't really believe in Deku for a very big reason, because he doesn't believe he should be the successor for One for All, because he thinks that his protege, Lemillion, aka Midio Toga, should have actually been the successor because he was the first intended successor they were grooming to take on One for All. But it didn't end up happening like that, and All Might ended up meeting Izuku out in the streets, as we all saw in Season 1, and the rest is history, and that brings us to where we are today. But Deku passes the test, he gets onto the agency, he starts working with Lemillion, and that leads them to our main bad guy, our main villain of last season, none other than Overhaul, a.k.a. Chisaki, a former member, or not former member, but a member and now trying to be the new leader of the Yakuza gang called Hasake, or Hasake. My bad if I pronounce that wrong, y'all. I'm not the best at pronouncing these Japanese words all the time. But anyways, moving on. So from there, we get into the Hero Network, which is just how heroes connect and get word out to other people and stay in touch so that way they can get backup, stuff like that. And then we go into episode 71, 72, and so on. And we get into Kirishima's backstory, aka Red Riot, all that good stuff with him. And he's one of my favorite characters, aka side note right there. And we also learn about Kirishima's, the way he became a hero, how he met Ashido, and how he had to step up and really get the courage to get into the hero program and become the hero he wants to be one day and put in that work. So it was dope getting to see that. We also got to meet the big three finally that we heard about: Amajiki, Midiotoga, Lemillion, who I mentioned earlier, and Hato, of course. The big three themselves. So they were a big presence in the last season. And Amajiki has a really cool quirk where he can form his limbs into anything that he ate that day. And usually that ends up being seafood due to the fact they're in Japan. So, anyways, going on from there, Overhaul wants to work with Shigaraki. He wanted to get and team up with him to get the Yakuza back, get the League of Undervillains under him, and he wanted him to trust him so he could lead the way and he can take out the metas and he can take out all the heroes because he has the answer, a bullet that removes the quirks upon impact, powered by his captive, or as he calls his daughter, the sick bastard, Eri, who they end up saving later, of course, but she has the power, she has this quirk where she can reverse things and she could reverse time or reverse the effects of things on people's bodies, right? So she could perfect the damage on someone by essentially kind of reversing time and preventing that injury from happening or whatever, or something like that. So he harnessed that power to be able to remove people's quirks in order to take out the metas, in order to reinstate the Yakuza's power. So I really loved how all that plot played out with Overhaul. And I really like that villain overall, just the design, his quirk, and how he can like decompose and recompose and like fuse himself with other things using, like atoms and just the particles and the atoms and the things that make up the human body. He can just form that and manipulate other people's DNA to form with his. So he has a really cool quirk. I really like that. And then we get into just his overall. Then obviously the pro heroes team up and formulate a plan to infiltrate Overhaul's lair, which we get into such dope action sequences there. But Amajiki also got shot with a bullet, which is how they found out about the quirk removing bullets to begin with. He lost his quirk for a while. He was out of action, and by the time they went on this raid, he was back, ready to go. So they went on this raid, and that's where our boy, unfortunately, Lemillion, lost his quirk because he caught the bullet going in to be the hero and saving Eri from danger. So our boy, one of my favorite characters, man, and my man Miguel, that's one of his favorite characters right there for sure, if not his favorite, my hero character. So hoping to see him get back in action going into season 5, so we'll see where that goes from there. Obviously, Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku, and all the other heroes, Uraka, everyone else, they get involved in the background, and Izuku ends up taking down Overhaul by harnessing 100% of One for All. He saves the day, he saves Eri, but unfortunately he couldn't save Lemillion's quirk. And then one of the dopest parts of season 4 to me, man, was when Shigaraki took away Overhaul's quirk by using his quirk and pretty much making his arms decompose, and he had to cut them off so that way he wouldn't have to essentially kill Overhaul, aka Chisaki, because his body would just slowly disintegrate over time if he didn't actually take off his arms and amputate him. And he ended up taking the bullet removing quirks as well. So who the hell knows how that's going to factor in going into season 5 as well. So that was a big moment right there, one of my favorite moments, and something huge is going to play into season 5 and maybe the whole rest of the show. Who knows, man? And then we get into just a little UA festival, and then they have to do a little performance that they want to get together. That's actually orchestrated by Jiro because she's really good at playing instruments. She's an excellent musician as well as a really excellent hero in training and one of my favorite side characters of the show as well. So she uses her ability to, make great music and teach everyone how to dance and stuff along with Ashido. They're going to put a performance together to raise people's spirits in the other courses because they're starting to kind of hate on the hero course because of all the danger and the damage and the people they get hurt and the villains that always keep attacking the school. So obviously they would feel some kind of tension and they would feel not safe and they would actually be upset with the heroes and they feel like they don't care about their safety. So it's totally understandable there. But going on from there, we get into the Gentle Criminal arc, just a small little piece of the end of season 4 there. And I like Gentle Criminal as a villain overall. He's pretty dope, man. I really dig him. I don't love him as much as like Overhaul or even Stain or Shigaraki or Toga, but I like him overall. He was a really cool antagonist more so than a villain, someone that was kind of similar to Izuku, someone that felt wronged by society and wanted to get over. He pretty much wanted to bring forth his brand of justice the way he saw fit, bending the rules a little bit to his will and kind of stepping into that criminal territory without going full villain and like killing off a bunch of people and shit like that. So he was a really interesting character that kind of stood in that gray area. So I like General Criminal. Don't love him like some people do, but he was a really cool villain overall, or really cool antagonist overall. And then, yeah, so going on from there, they also name dropped the commander of the Metal Liberation Army in, I think, episode 82, Destro, and they talk about a big, great thief named OG Harima. So I'm not sure exactly how these guys are going to factor into season 5 and beyond. And since the manga is going into the final act, and I haven't caught up all the way yet, but I'm getting there. So don't know how all this is going to factor in yet, but just wanted to mention that since they dropped that in season 4. So I know that's going to play in. So if I'm going to recap it, I got to mention it. And then we just pretty much get into where Endeavor ends up becoming the #1 hero because the Japanese hero billboard chart in episode 87 ends up getting a big shift. Izuku Midoriya is channeling some kind of weird ability to where he can see visions of the past with All for One and how he ended up taking his brother's power, who was actually the very first user of One for All, and how that all went down, how he ended up taking quirks and how that all ended up playing out, and how that was one of the first big ones he took back in the day. And he ended up seeing most of, except for 2, of the former 7 or 8 successors in the One for All line. So pretty cool stuff, man. I love the way they visualized it with the vision itself and the way he couldn't talk, but he can kind of see it, but they couldn't see him, of course. So that was really dope, and it's going to be interesting to see how this vision and how the former figureheads and the former users of One for All are going to figure into this. And is it going to be like some Last Airbender type shit where they give him wisdom and he can communicate? No idea, but we'll see how all that goes, man. So without further ado, let's get into season 5 premiere, man. Episode 1, episode 89 in the overall series, and it's called All Hands on Deck, Class 1A. And pretty much Class 1A is just getting into a little exercise because we pick up with Kirishima talking to Class 1A about how Endeavor the day before was taking out that Nomu that was intelligent somehow, that was sent in by that crazy villain Dabi, and Hawks and Endeavor are walking around the town and everything at the end of season 4, going into season 5 here at the beginning, and they have to take out this Nomu, and Hawks ends up coming in to help Endeavor. While this Nomu is attacking, he gives him his wings to give him some extra speed to shoot him off into the air, so that way Endeavor can turn his heat way up, blow him the hell out of here. And right after that, we go right back to Class 1A, and our boy Aizawa comes in to get homeroom started for the day, and then an emergency drill goes off, and they have to suit up and get ready for action. It's a drill. This is no practice drill. This is an action drill. And they also give us a little cool tidbit where 80% of the humans on Earth are actually born with quirks. I don't know if they mentioned this earlier in the series. I honestly don't. But it was pretty cool. Then we get into the new intro, which is a pretty dope song. I'm not sure what the title is, but I'm going to have to look that up because it's really dope. And then we get into the whole exercise, which is they have to rescue some man from the river, and apparently there's 2 villains on the loose, so they have to split up and figure out what their strategy is going to be, so that way they can take these villains out in this exercise. So you have Koji and Jito and Shoji get into a little squad of 3, and they use their abilities with sight, sound, and strength, not strength, but being able to talk to animals. They use all these abilities together, their quirks, to be able to find out where the threat is and how to best approach it, and to use the animals to their advantage. Then Momo creates a wagon using her quirk, which is create. Tenya uses his ability, Engine, aka our boy Ingenium, uses his ability of super speed to pull everybody in this wagon in order to attack the enemy head on. And then it's funny enough, our boys Kirishima, Bakugo, and Keminari, they hotwire this car and go off on their own so that way they can take out the villains themselves. And I wasn't sure what they were going to do with that at first, but it ends up being pretty cool. So then Koji, out of nowhere, has been swept away in the river, and he's the guy that was in there. Our boy himself, Midio, was the guy that's out in the damn river, so they got to go get him out of there. So Fumikage teams up with Asui and all the other guys to rescue Mirio from the river, and once they get him out of there, an explosion goes off in the distance, and it's none other than two other villains themselves, aka two others of the big three, Amajiki and Hado, end up being our villains of the day. And Amajiki's kind of bummed about being a villain and having to even participate in this exercise. He'd rather go home and get his free period for the day. But overall, man, I really love that. And he always cracks me up anyways, Amajiki, with his attitude. He's really funny. And then our girl, a.k.a. Toro Hagakure, the invisible girl, comes out of nowhere, super clutch, and almost nearly takes out Amajiki, but he still bestes her. But then uh, our boy Izuku Midoriya comes in and tries to swoop in and save the day and take out the villains once for all and end this thing. But unfortunately, he chickens out and hesitates, and then Amajiki gets pissed and almost takes him out himself right there. Not kills him, but almost takes him out for the count in the exercise and tells him, you never hesitate to take out your opponent because at this time, I am your opponent. But you know our boy Bakugo and gang ain't gonna do that shit, man. And these boos come in hot with that car that they come in with the car that Keminari had hotwired and is driving himself, and they shoot Kirishima at him full speed, all right at him so they can fucking knock the hell out of him. And right when he's about to get up, you got our boy Bakugo coming in to finish him off in one blow, coming in with the heat, man, coming in with that fire like he always do, man. So we took him out, one blow right there, and he told him straight out, don't you ever underestimate me because I'm a first year. And I always love how this guy is just always yelling at everybody. He's always intense. But for real, man, Bakugo's going to have high blood pressure before he's like 25, man. This guy really needs to chill. But overall, this episode was fun. There was nothing really huge until the very end that dropped. No big information other than just getting to see the whole entire Class 1A work together as a team, as a unit. And you really get to see their growth in as heroes and how they use their quirks and how they understand the best way to use their strategy and to formulate it and to work together as a team. So I just really love seeing the growth of the characters just in this exercise and just laying the groundwork for what they're going to be doing throughout Season 5, which is training along with and fighting against Class 1B, as we all know from the trailer. So it was really dope overall, man. I had a lot of fun with this first episode, but the one big detail that we have to get into before I sign off for the day, y'all, is that we're going to flash back over to our boy Endeavor's victory over the Nomu as he's reflecting on it in the hospital. And as he's doing that, he remembers that Hawk seemed to say something kind of weird to him before Dabi shows up and says, but anyways, this is our first time meeting, right, Endeavor? Which kind of implies that he met Hawks before because Hawks is another person that's there, but Dabi doesn't mention anything to Hawks. And then we flash over to this shady factory someplace where Dabi's hiding in the shadows as all villains do. And Dabi says, hey, you're late because somebody comes in to the room inside of this factory. And this mysterious person is none other than our boy Hawks. So what the hell's going on with Hawks? Is he a double agent for the heroes working against the villains? Or is he a double agent for the League of Villains working against the heroes? We're going to have to find out throughout the rest of Season 5, man, but this intrigues the hell out of me. I just read this in the manga no more than a week ago because I'm trying to catch up because I'm way too impatient to wait for the anime to do it. And, man, I just can't wait to figure out what's going on with this double agency stuff. And is the Meta Liberation Army behind it? Is he working for them? Or is he just working for the regular world government? I don't know. And also, will Mirio get back into action this season, I wonder? I'm not sure, but I feel like he will. I feel like he's too big of a character and integral to the big three for them to take him out, unless they're setting up Izuku or, Todoroki or somebody else to take that kind of missing spot in the big three right now, because at the moment they're only the big two. So we're going to wait and see how that kind of plays out. And I'm also wondering, not just because of their resemblance, but also because of their quirks and because of the similarities almost in the way that they fight at times, is Dabi related to Bakugo in some kind of way? Is it all coincidence? I've heard rumors. I don't know. But Unless you've read the manga and you already know the future spoilers that I don't know, we're going to have to keep tuning into the anime to find out. But thanks for tuning in to this latest and greatest and the very first episode of our recap series and this premiere episode of My Hero Academia Season 5. What did you think, man? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know, man. What did you think? What did you think of my opinion? What did you think of the overall premiere? What do you think is going to happen with Hawks? Is he a double agent? Is he a villain? Is he a hero? Let me know, man. Make sure that you press that like and subscribe button if you're watching this on the YouTube channel. And if you're listening to the audio format of this, man, Spotify, Apple, Deezer, Google Podcasts, we're all over the place. Make sure that you leave a comment and you follow us and you spread the word all over the social medias. And you can also find us all over the social medias. For real, though, catch us at fandom_frequency. We're going to be bringing you breakdown and recaps for the whole rest of the season of My Hero. And we got some other stuff coming down the pipeline, such as Ozark, all kinds of stuff, man. And don't forget about Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're going to be recapping the rest of that a few episodes at a time. We're going to break it up in 2 parts, so that way we don't inundate you with the recaps. But until next time, guys, this is your boy Kenny, and on behalf of Fandom Frequency,